I want to start this episode with a disclaimer. Elon Musk is a polarizing figure. Some see him as a visionary genius. Others see him as a reckless egomaniac. I'm not here to tell you which view is correct. What I am here to do is examine something undeniable. His organizations accomplish things that traditionally structured companies struggle to match. SpaceX builds rockets faster and cheaper than aerospace giants, with decades more experience. Tesla scaled automotive production faster than any company in history. Whatever you think of the man, the organizations are worth studying, because they coordinate differently. Let me give you some context on SpaceX. When SpaceX started in 2002, the aerospace industry had a well-established way of doing things. Prime contractors like Boeing and Lockheed Martin used massive coordination bureaucracies, thousands of project managers, elaborate governance structures, multi-year planning cycles. A single rocket program might involve dozens of subcontractors, hundreds of coordination meetings per month, and enough documentation to fill warehouses. This was considered necessary. Rockets are complex. Lives are at stake. You need rigorous processes. SpaceX rejected this model entirely. Instead of elaborate coordination structures, SpaceX relies on something simpler: mission clarity. Everyone at SpaceX knows the mission: make humanity multiplanetary, put humans on Mars. This isn't a slogan on a wall, it's an operational reality that shapes every decision. By the way, if the idea of making humanity multiplanetary fascinates you as much as it does me, I explore space topics in more depth at tatsp.com. But back to what SpaceX teaches us about coordination. When the mission is that clear, coordination becomes easier. You don't need a project manager to tell you what matters. You know what matters. You don't need approval chains to validate decisions. You can ask yourself, does this get us closer to Mars? Mission becomes the coordination mechanism. Let me explain how this works in practice. Traditional aerospace uses a model called systems engineering. Requirements flow down from the top. Each subsystem has detailed specifications. Interfaces between systems are carefully documented. Changes go through formal change control boards. This process ensures nothing falls through the cracks. It also ensures nothing happens quickly. SpaceX uses a different approach. Small teams own entire systems end to end. The team that designs a component also builds it and tests it. No handoffs between design, manufacturing, and test. The same engineers see their work through from concept to flight. When you own the whole thing, you don't need coordinators to manage handoffs. There are no handoffs. Communication at SpaceX is notoriously direct. There's a famous internal email from Musk that's been shared publicly. It says, roughly, communication should travel via the shortest path necessary to get the job done, not through the chain of command. If an engineer needs information from another team, they go directly to the person who has it. They don't schedule a meeting with their manager, who schedules a meeting with the other manager, who asks their team member. Direct communication eliminates coordination overhead. In most organizations, the hierarchy is the communication structure. Information flows up and down the org chart. At SpaceX, the hierarchy exists for accountability, but communication flows wherever it needs to go. First principles thinking also reduces coordination. Traditional aerospace relies heavily on precedent. We do it this way because we've always done it this way. The process exists because the process exists. SpaceX constantly asks, why? Why do we need this review? What value does it add? Why does this take 6 months? What's actually blocking us? Many coordination processes exist because someone once had a problem and created a process to prevent it. Over time, processes accumulate. No one removes them. The coordination burden grows. First principle thinking strips away unnecessary process. If a coordination activity doesn't directly contribute to the mission, it's questioned. Often, it's eliminated. Let me give you a concrete example. Traditional rocket manufacturing requires extensive documentation at every step. An inspector signs off on each operation. Paperwork accompanies every component. SpaceX asked, "What's the paperwork actually for?" The answer is traceability. If something goes wrong, you need to know what happened and when. But paperwork isn't the only way to achieve traceability. Cameras are cheaper than inspectors. Digital records are more reliable than paper. Sensors can capture data that humans miss. SpaceX replaced much of the inspection bureaucracy with automated monitoring. Same traceability, fraction of the overhead. Now let's talk about Tesla. The automotive industry is one of the most coordination intensive on Earth. A modern car has 30,000 parts from hundreds of suppliers. Traditional automakers employ armies of project managers to coordinate design, engineering, supply chain, manufacturing, and quality. Tesla does it differently. Vertical integration reduces coordination. Tesla manufactures components that other automakers buy from suppliers: seats, battery packs, electronics. When you make it yourself, you don't need to coordinate with a supplier. This seems inefficient at first. Suppliers have scale and expertise, but supplier coordination has hidden costs: contracts, quality audits, schedule alignment, change negotiations. Sometimes the coordination cost of buying exceeds the production cost of making. Software-defined vehicles change the coordination equation. Traditional cars are defined by hardware. Change requires physical modification. Every change requires coordination across mechanical, electrical, and manufacturing teams. Tesla treats the car as a software platform. Much of the vehicle's functionality lives in code. Changes can be made through over-the-air updates. No physical coordination required. When you can update the car remotely, you don't need the coordination infrastructure that traditional automakers use for physical changes. Speed itself becomes a coordination mechanism. This is counterintuitive but important. In traditional organizations, plans are made far in advance. Long planning horizons require extensive coordination. You need to predict what everyone will be doing in 12 months and ensure it all fits together. When you move faster, planning horizons shrink. You don't need to coordinate 12 months of work because you're not planning that far ahead. You coordinate the next sprint, the next week, sometimes the next day. Speed reduces the coordination burden because there's less future to coordinate. Now I need to be honest about the costs. The Tesla and SpaceX model is brutal on people. The workload is extreme. 80-hour weeks are common. Burnout is endemic. Turnover is high. The pressure is relentless. Musk's management style is famously demanding. Impossible deadlines are set and expected to be met. Those who can't keep up are pushed out. This is not a model to copy blindly. The human cost is real. Families suffer, health suffers. Many former employees describe the experience as traumatic. Mission as coordination mechanism works, but it can also become mission as justification for exploitation. When the mission is important enough, any sacrifice seems justified. This is a danger, not a feature. So, what can we learn without adopting the extremes? First, mission clarity matters. You don't need to be saving humanity to have a clear mission, but you do need people to understand why their work matters. When the why is clear, less coordination is needed to align the what. Most organizations have fuzzy missions, generic statements that could apply to anyone, deliver value to stakeholders, Be the best in our industry. These don't coordinate because they don't direct. A clear mission is specific enough to guide decisions. When someone isn't sure what to do, the mission tells them. Second, direct communication reduces overhead. You don't need to eliminate hierarchy to enable direct communication. You just need to give people permission to talk to whoever they need to. Make it clear that going through channels is optional, not required. Most communication overhead exists because of cultural expectations, not actual requirements. People CC their manager because that's what's expected. They schedule meetings instead of sending messages because that's the norm. Change the expectations, and communication overhead drops. Third, question inherited processes. Every organization has coordination processes that nobody remembers the reason for. The weekly status meeting that's always been weekly. The approval chain that's always had 5 levels. The documentation that's always been required. Ask why. What problem does this solve? Is there a simpler solution? What would happen if we stopped? You'll be surprised how many coordination activities exist, simply because no one ever questioned them. Fourth, ownership reduces handoffs. The SpaceX model of end-to-end ownership works beyond aerospace. When a team owns a problem from start to finish, coordination costs drop dramatically. Most organizations fragment ownership. One team defines requirements, another designs, another builds, another tests. Each handoff requires coordination. Consolidate ownership where possible. Fewer handoffs means less overhead. Fifth, technology can replace process. SpaceX replaced inspectors with cameras. Tesla replaced dealer coordination with direct sales. Both replaced physical change coordination with software updates. Look at your coordination processes, which exist because technology wasn't available. Status meetings exist because status wasn't visible. Approval chains exist because trust couldn't be verified. Documentation exists because memory wasn't reliable. Technology has changed. Have your processes. Let me bring this back to the core insight. Netflix uses context as a coordination mechanism. Spotify uses autonomous teams. Hire uses internal markets. GitHub uses platform infrastructure. Tesla and SpaceX use mission. When the mission is clear enough, specific enough, compelling enough, people coordinate themselves. They don't need managers to tell them what matters. They know what matters. They don't need processes to ensure alignment. The mission aligns them. This isn't magic. It's clarity. The question for your organization is this: is your mission clear enough to coordinate? If you ask 10 people in your organization what the mission is, would you get 10 similar answers or 10 different ones? If you ask them how the mission applies to their daily decisions, would they be able to answer? If you ask them what they should do when priorities conflict, would the mission guide them? If not, you're paying a coordination tax that mission clarity could reduce. In the next episode, we'll step back and look at the bigger picture. How has humanity organized work across history? What patterns can we see in the evolution from craft to factory to knowledge work? And what does that tell us about where we're heading next? The 4 ages of work coordination,